Welcome back to Trade Delicious. Once again, we're with Juan Colon from Darwinex. Juan, thank you for joining us and Traders Day Live. What an event it's been so far.
Thank you, Jordan, for having me.
How are you feeling? How have you?
I've had very good conversations with a number of people, so it's energizing to speak to people who get what you do.
Yeah, it is like-minded people everywhere and understand lingo, and you can just freely talk for hours. Let's dive into you. I want to learn a bit about you and your story and how you got to where you are today. Where does it begin?
So it actually doesn't begin with me. It begins with my brother. My brother's it does begin. It's about my brother, but it begins with us being born in a city where there's no hedge funds. Of course, there's no internet because I've got a certain age by now. So, and then this goes on to my brother. My brother's like the kind of guy who will be playing online poker and looking at the markets at the same time. He's very kind of mathematically gifted. And he was really kind of very quickly torn to the markets, very attracted to it. And basically started trading, lost some money, including my money, eventually.
That happens.
Yeah, that happens. So friends, fools and family, I guess. And then at some point he came up with a proper strategy. He was making money. And he wanted to live off this trading, right? And coming from a Spanish backwater, we had no clear idea what a hedge fund was and so on and so forth. So he was learning the ropes. I had been working here in London for a number of years back then because I've always worked in finance. And we realized there were a lot of people hitting a wall in that everybody could trade online, but there was no solution for them to build up an investor base and therefore a business to make a living. And that's what we've built over the last 10 years, a solution for anybody to trade from home and get paid for trading well.
So did you get into trading, or have you always been the finance side of things?
I've always been in the finance side of things. I did a Master of Science in Econometrics and Economics, so I understand all the mathematical aspects to it. I really understand the technology, so anything that happens, and the kind of the financial background, the compliance background, anything that happens after you push a button to place a trade, I know how the plumbing works. But I don't think I've got the psychology to be a trader.
It's a tough gig.
Yeah, so I know myself. It's a tough gig, and I also can be quite obsessive compulsive. So I would be in a bad place if I did that. Yeah.
So when did you launch Darwinex? What was the process? Obviously, you saw a gap in the market, and you're like, okay, let's explore this. What could we possibly do here?
So there's a process, which is my brother had become a civil engineer. He didn't like his job, went on to do an MBA. He was trading full time by then.
Yeah.
He tested platforms, like one with some horns, and he realized that he wouldn't want to let other people see his trades, as in copy trading, but he certainly had the issue that he was already managing some friends and family money and he didn't have a legal cover. So he basically did his MBA project around building a proper solution for people who wanted to become pros. So moving away from the recreational aspect of trading, really kind of people who want to become pros. At that point, he told me what his idea was, and I said, look, let's just see how big this market is. And to me, it was like mind-boggling how many people actually trade. Unfortunately, how many people lose their shirts because they're trying to do something which is impossible. And at that point we said, look, there's a market here. We think this is a project worth doing. Obviously, it's from the heart, from the standpoint of my brother. And I was going to help out to raise some money. I've raised 10 million euros for the company since, and I'm still stuck. I'm really enjoying it. But for me, the dream is, look, there's people who started with us. Some of them are here. There's some 13-year-old guy who starts playing World of Warcraft, becomes over 10 years the world's best player of World of Warcraft, starts trading with us in 2014. He's now managing 35 million bucks, setting up his hedge fund. If things go well, he could make $1 million this year. And for me, the fact that he comes to us and says, look, what would happen if you had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's kind of, I don't want to think of it, but in a way, it's kind of, you've built something meaningful because some people, the kind of people you care for, would miss you if you were gone. And that's what drives me and the 70 people that work with us.
That's incredible. It's motivating. It's passion as well.
But it's tough, huh?
I mean, trading's not the only hard industry.
It's horrible at times, but yeah, I think it's worth it. Yeah.
So how much assets under management does Darwinex have now?
So I think the important thing about us is not the assets under management, which is about 140 million, but the growth rate. We've grown more than 100% over the last year.
Fantastic.
And more importantly than that, I think Darwinex is a marketplace, right? We attract traders, and if these are any good, which was a challenge to begin with, that attracts investors. And at some point, you get the first traders who are good enough to start really growing the investors, and that's when you hopefully build a snowball effect that I think we are now, because the number is now 35 million. This time last year it was like 10 million.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so that there comes Darwinex Zero, right? It's your attraction for new traders to come in.
Correct. So we own, at heart, we are a marketplace for strategies. That, from a regulatory standpoint, requires being an asset manager. For us to be able to replicate or to offer the trades to our investors well, we needed to become a broker as well. And because we have a broker, we have offered over the years people to start trading in order to become the 35 million guy. And everybody comes in with this noise, thinking that you can make 1,000% in a year and get rich quick. And we've seen thousands upon thousands of people blow their accounts because they started trading before they were ready to trade live capital. So we've come up with this Zero concept, which is basically a way to behave like a hedge fund manager from day one, with 38 euros downside because it's a subscription, unlimited upside because you can eventually become the 35 million guy, and a set of incentives that basically reward you as you go along, because you're not going to become the 35 million guy overnight. So what you do is we give you allocations or the opportunity of behaving like you were managing capital to start getting the feeling of, how does it feel, and gradually grow into the boots of, okay, initially it's going to be 25K because that's where it starts. Could go all the way up to 2 million over time. But the important thing is that you can really get the feeling and investors get to see you. And that's when you kind of walk up the ladder, right? So start from $38, just got off World of Warcraft. Keep going. The minute that you feel confident that you're not going to blow your live account, you get an anytime transfer to a live account, and at that point the service is free, included with the live account. And that's the idea. So it's a ladder to get the next 35 million guys, and hopefully growing the 35 million guy to 100 million in a couple of years' time.
Yeah. So you've obviously got a fair few investors, people who are interested in these traders. Is it all asset classes? What do they trade? What are your traders specifically looking at?
So we offer the world's most liquid instruments. That's the idea. That includes currencies, includes the indices, includes commodities, and it also includes ETFs and the 800 most liquid stocks in the US.
Okay, so you're really just kind of branching out across.
We're branching out because, of course, we need to get to talent. The hard thing right now is that investors is like ketchup, right? We've hit the bottle a long time. It's finally the ketchup's pouring, and we're kind of running out of a burger. we need a bigger burger to spread the ketchup now.
So do you go, other than the Darwinex Zero, is there a process traders go from nothing about trading, know nothing, into that $35 million trader? Do you help people along that way, or is it more building the foundations and the infrastructure to allow them to do that?
So I think let me explain how Zero works, and that will hopefully kind of answer the question. So Zero feeds off a virtual account with 100,000 euros. Yeah. And the pitch is you're managing your dad's pension. Yeah. Okay, so forget all this mumbo jumbo of you're managing your dad's pension, and if it's lost, it's lost.
Good
okay, so that's kind of that's how you start. Now, the top guy at Darwinex, whom you can see, he's actually in podcasts. He can speak. He can explain how he does. He's got a face. Like there are many other places where that they don't have a face because nobody makes that amount of money. So that guy has been the one out of 40,000 people who's managed to grow monies by a compound 20% per year. Yeah. Now, if you only manage 20% per year, that means you're not going to make more than 20% per year. If you break down 20% per year into months, that's 1 to 1.5 to 2% per month. Obviously, it could be 5% in a good month, but you don't want it to be minus 70% in a bad month because then you're toast. Yeah. Okay? That pension is gone. Okay, and the idea is to get into the mindset of being a hedge fund manager from day one, and receive incentives and rewards as you see that others are doing better. The odds, it becomes increasingly harder to stand out, but it starts from a very approachable level because 10% of traders receive one of these allocations, and they can get it pretty much from the first month. So the idea is start small, cap downside $38, and you keep trading with the brains. Hopefully you will lose in the beginning, because everybody loses in the beginning, but you lose $40 a month. Yeah. And then the minute you see I'm stable and I trust what I'm doing, you open a live account, you stop paying the subscription, and then off you go, same thing, but with your capital, because it's a layer of, it's not your dad's pension, it's your savings, which you hopefully accrued over this point, and you start growing with the rest of the platform, hopefully, as you get there. I talk a lot, but that's the idea.
No, it's good to get clarity on, because I can see you're passionate about it, right?
I am,
Big smiles, and it's happy, and it's a good thing.
I am.
And it's something a little bit different to what a lot of people do, and you're really taking that mindset approach as well. That reset, this is your dad's pension, you can't lose that.
Yep.
Whereas most people come in and be like, I've allocated it, it is what it is if I lose it.
Here's the Ferrari, the Ferrari,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Juan, it was an absolute pleasure. Where can people find more information from you? Or
Sure, they can go to either Darwinex website, Darwinex as in Charles Darwin, the city in Australia, and then EX for exchange, that's darwinex.com, or Darwinex, same thing as before, Zero, because that's the way to start, from Zero on Darwinex, darwinexzero.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for the audience for the patience.
Beautiful.